Hello Sudoku friends and welcome to an evil level Sudoku by websudoku.com. I transferred the grid over to sudokuexchange.com as I usually do because the user interface is much better. So without further ado, let's see what we can do here. There's a 9 here and here blocking these cells, right? And that makes this a 9. Now one of these two cells must be a 9. There's a 2 here and here blocking these cells, and 2 here blocks this cell. So that's an easy 2. And that makes this cell here also a 2 because of the 2 up here, right? Now the 2 here and here blocking these cells. The 2 here blocks this cell, making this a 2. Do we have all the 2's? Not yet. 2 here blocks these cells. The 2 here blocks these, and the 2 blocks these. And now I think we have the 2's. Yes. One of these must be a 1 due to the 2 1's here, and these 2 1's put a 1 in one of these cells. One of these must be a 7. A 6 here and here, putting a 6 in one of these two cells. By the way, I mentioned that one of these will have to be a 7. The other one will have to be a 9 because we have a 7, 9 here and we have a 7, 9 here. So 7 and 9's are spoken for in rows 4 and 5. We need a 7 and a 9 for this row 6, and they must go in these two cells. There are only a couple of 8's in the grid, and there isn't much I can do with those at this time. But there's a 1 here blocking these cells, and there's a 1 here blocking these cells. So one of these two cells must be a 1, and in combination with the 1 here, that makes this cell a 1. There's only a single 3 as well as a couple of 8's in the grid. So the 3 here puts a 3 here or here, and therefore in one of these 3 cells. See, the 7 is blocking these cells, and the 7 here blocks these cells. So one of these two must be a 7, and therefore one of these two. One of these must be an 8, because one of these will have to be a 7 or a 9, and there's an 8 here. So one of these is an 8, and given the 8 up here, now one of these two is going to be an 8. I worked out that this cell must be a 3 or a 6, because there's a 3 going down here and therefore here, and therefore one of these must be a 3. And we're still missing a 6. So if we just count 1, 2, 3, yes, 4, 5, 6, yes, 7, 8, 9. So a 3 or a 6 will have to go here. And now I'm looking across here in the row. Besides the 3 and the 6, I'm still missing a 7 and a 9 and a 1. There's a 1, 7 here, so this cannot be a 1 or a 7, and there's a 7 here. So I know that one of these will have to be a 7 because we established that earlier. And a 9 will have to go here or here. 1 can't go here. 1 can't go here. So, yes, these two cells have to be a 1 and a 7. So this is a 3 or a 6. So 1, 7 here. This is a 3 or a 6. this is a 3, 6, or a 9. This is a 3, 6, or a 9. So a 1 or a 7. That's a meager result, I think, from all this analysis. But let's see. One of these will have to be an 8. So we got 3, 6, and an 8 possibles for these 3 cells. And at least the 3 and the 8 are sure to go in 2 of these 3 cells here. As I said before, the 3 here blocks these cells, and this cell must be a 3, therefore one of these 3 cells must be a 3. The 8 here blocks these cells, therefore one of these must be an 8, and therefore one of these 3 must be an 8. So, long story short, this must be a 3 or a 6, and one of these must be an 8. So the 3, 6, and the 5s are a little fluffy. I need to figure out where to put them. I'll let it simmer for a while I direct my attention elsewhere. I'm looking at the 5s now. These being a 7 and a 9, I think that is indisputable. We need to find a home for a 5, and that must go here or here, right? Because we have a 5 up here and it can't go here. So a 5 in these 2 rows still leaves to be found a 5 for row 5. And it can't go here due to the 5 here. So this cell must be a 5. And just a few moments ago, we established that one of these cells would have to be an 8, didn't we? And since we've taken away this possibility here now and put in a 5, then this must be an 8. Now we need a 1, 3, and a 9 to complete this column. There's a 1 and a 3 in this row, so this must be a 9, and this is now a 1, 3, and this is a 1, 3. And the 9 here blocking this cell, and the 9 here blocking this cell, the 9 here blocking this cell makes this a 9. And now we got these 2 9s blocking these cells, and the 9 here blocking across here, so this is a 9. And these 2 9s now gives me a 9 by force that must go here. And that takes care of this 7 and the 9 we had here. This 7 and 7 puts a 7 up here like so. Now the 7 blocks over here, the 7 blocks up here, makes this a 7, and that takes care of the 7 1 we had here, doesn't it? Now we got the 1 here and the 1 here blocking these cells, and these 2 1s blocking these cells. That is an easy one. We can resolve these last cells, or at least some of them at least, because these 2 must be a 6 and a 3, and that makes this a 1. And because of the 2 1s here now, this is a 1. These last 3 cells must be a 3, 4, and a 6. There's a 6 here, so one of these will have to be a 4. Let's see, 1 of 3, 3, 3. What about these 2? Mustn't they be a 2? No. Mustn't they be a 3 and a 6? Yeah, we know that this is a 3 or 6 because I found that out earlier, and this is also now a 3 or a 6. Anything else? Let me look at these 3 empty cells again. A 3, 4, and a 6. What is it with these 6s? They are being very elusive. So let me look at the 4s. The 4 going up here and this 4 going over here makes this a 4. And therefore, because of the 4 here blocking these cells and the 4 here blocking these cells, this must now be a 4. And that makes this a 4. I think we're making progress. Now, one of these must be a 4, and it cannot be this one because of the 4 here, of course. So this is a 4, and that makes this cell down here a 4, doesn't it? And this here is now a 4, and we've got all the 4s. These are now 3 and 6. There's a 6 in the column. See that here? So this is a 3, and this is a 6. Now, one of these must be a 6, and therefore this cannot be a 6. Besides, there's a 6 in the row, so the 6 must go up here, and that would make this a 5. And that makes this a 5 as well. What's going on up here? A 1 must go in this cell because we have a 1 here and a 1 here, and they are blocking this cell and this cell. So this is a 1. The other 2 must be a 3 and not a 6, no, but a 5. Let's start with this one then, shall we? That's an 8. These two guys must be a 3 and a 6 still. Can't solve them. These two must be a 3 and an 8. But we knew for the longest time that an 8 would have to go in one of these two cells, didn't we? So instead, let me look elsewhere. What about row 5? A 6, 3, and an 8. There's an 8 here. No, also being elusive. Let me have a little stare at this. Yes, sometimes it helps to just pause a few seconds and think. This can't be a 7. This can't be a 7 because of the 7 here. Therefore, this must be a 7, making this a 7. And now 6, of course, why not? And an 8 for these two. And these 3 is a 6, 8, and a. So that's not going to break either. Let's look at this column here. A 3, 6, and an 8 again. There's a 6 here, so one of these will have to be a 6. Therefore, one of these will have to be a 6. While I'm busy looking elsewhere, I completely ignore, of course, this little cell here, which must be an 8. Sometimes I do make it difficult for myself. Now this is an 8, of course. And this cannot be an 8 now. And the 8 here blocks an 8 from this cell, making this an 8. And therefore, this cell must be an 8. And that makes this an 8 finally. Now, one of these is going to be a 3 and the other is 6. And there's a 6 in the row. So the 3 will go here and the 6 here, making this a 6 and this a 3. It's not really that hard if I just give myself a few seconds to think. This cell must be a 5. Now we are looking at a 6 and a 3 for these two. There's a 6 in the column, making this a 3 and this a 6 and this a 3 and this a 3. This now must be a 6. Now we are cooking. This last cell up here must be a 5, making this a 5. And this has got to be a 3. And so does this. It was, once again, quite a nice puzzle by websudoku.com. Maybe it's just the way that I'm thinking or having rested last night, but I feel that the puzzles, at least today, seem a little more fun than usual. I hope that you found it fun as well and that you'll come back for more soon. If you did like the video, you might give it a thumbs up or even consider subscribing to my channel. It might help Google's algorithms find more people who are interested in solving classical Sudokus of some difficulty without using pencil marks. Thank you for watching and bye for now.